Imagine you are completely alone. No food, no shelter, no weapons, no tools. Just your body, just your mind. Now imagine that 99% of every other animal on this planet faster, stronger, better armed than you would survive longer than you in that situation. And yet, you are still here. Not just you, your entire species, billions of you, covering every continent, dominating every ecosystem on Earth. How? The answer isn't what you think, and once you hear it, you will never look at another human being the same way again. Let's go back, way back. Roughly 2 million years ago, somewhere on the sun-scorched plains of East Africa, a creature is being hunted. It isn't fast, its skin isn't thick, its teeth aren't sharp enough to tear raw meat cleanly. It has no venom, no natural armor, no camouflage. By every measurable standard of the animal kingdom, this creature should not exist. And yet it does. It walks upright across the savanna. Its eyes scan the horizon, and somewhere inside its strange, oversized skull, something is happening. Something that no other animal on Earth fully understands. It's thinking, not just reacting, not just fleeing, thinking. And that thinking, that specific, strange, almost dangerous kind of thinking is the reason you are alive right now, watching this video, inside a building, eating food you didn't hunt, wearing clothes you didn't make. But here's where it gets interesting, because most people assume the secret was intelligence. Fire, tools, language, agriculture. Those things came later. The real secret was something far older, something that predates all of that, something that lived not in the tools ancient humans built, but in the space between them. There was a moment scientists believe it happened repeatedly across thousands of years where an early human, starving, exhausted, staring down an animal it could not outrun and could not overpower, made a choice that should have been impossible. It didn't flee. It didn't freeze. It waited. And then it followed. This is called persistence hunting, and it is one of the most psychologically terrifying survival strategies ever recorded in the animal kingdom. Here's how it works. You choose a target, a large antelope, a wildebeest, an animal that can outrun you in seconds, and you chase it. Not sprint, chase. You follow it under the midday sun, the hottest, most brutal part of the African day when every other predator has retreated to the shade. You follow it across miles of open terrain. When it disappears over the horizon, you track it. You read the ground like a map: crushed grass, displaced soil, the faint impression of a hoof in dry earth. And you keep going for hours. And here's the thing that should make your skin crawl. The animal is faster. It always escapes. Every single time it looks back, the human is gone. But the human doesn't stop. Because the human knows something the animal cannot possibly comprehend. It knows the animal is coming back. Quadrupeds, four-legged animals, cool themselves by panting. But panting requires them to stop running. They must slow down to breathe. And every time they stop, the human closes the distance. The antelope doesn't understand this. It has no concept of being hunted by something patient enough to outlast it. In 4 billion years of evolution, nothing on Earth had ever hunted this way. Nothing except this strange, upright, slow, stubborn creature with the oversized skull. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. The most disturbing part is what happens at the end of the hunt. After miles, after hours, after the sun has beaten down on both of them until exhaustion has become something almost spiritual, the human finally catches up. And the antelope, overheated, oxygen-deprived, muscles failing, doesn't run. It just stands there. There is a moment that San hunters in southern Africa, one of the last cultures to practice persistence hunting, describe with reverence. A moment where hunter and prey make eye contact, where the antelope, trembling with heat exhaustion, looks directly at the man holding a spear. And the animal knows. The hunters call it entering the animal's death. They say the hunter must feel that moment, must meet it fully, not with cruelty, not with detachment, but with complete presence. Because in that moment, the hunter and the hunted are the same. Both are exhausted. Both have given everything. Both have been broken down to something essential. And this is the part almost nobody talks about. Because what the San hunters describe isn't just a hunting technique. It's a philosophy. It's a way of understanding what it means to be human. Somewhere around 30 to 40,000 years ago, give or take, something extraordinary began to happen. The paintings appeared. Deep inside caves in southern France, in Spain, in Indonesia, in Australia, ancient humans crawled into the dark, pressed pigment against stone, and made images of the animals they hunted. Not trophies, not records, conversations. Researchers studying the Chauvet cave in France noticed something unsettling. The cave paintings weren't just images, they were animated. Artists had deliberately used the natural curves and contours of the cave walls to make animals appear to move, to breathe, to come alive in flickering torchlight. This means something profound. These humans weren't just depicting reality, they were transforming it. They were stepping outside the literal world and building an imaginary one, and then crawling back out into daylight to live inside both simultaneously. No other animal does this. No other animal lives in two worlds at once, the physical and the symbolic, the seen and the imagined. And this is the secret. Not just intelligence, not just tools, the ability to imagine what doesn't exist yet. To see an animal in your mind before it appears on the horizon. To plan a hunt 3 days in advance. To feel grief for someone who died and carry that grief forward as a story. To tell that story to your children. To have your children tell it to theirs. Ancient humans didn't just survive the world, they narrated it. And that narration, that constant, obsessive, unstoppable inner storytelling is what made them unstoppable. But then something strange happened. About 12,000 years ago, humans stopped running. The great hunters, the people who had crossed frozen land bridges, survived ice ages, outsmarted predators that outweighed them by 1,000 pounds, sat down. They planted seeds. They built walls. And in doing so, they traded one kind of survival for another. The hunter's wild, embodied, moment-to-moment connection with reality was replaced by something more abstract, something more controlled, something that required them to forget a little who they used to be. Here is the part where I need you to stop for a moment. Because everything we've talked about, the hunters, the caves, the paintings, the endless patient chase across burning African plains that isn't really about ancient humans. That's about you, right now, today. You are carrying the same brain those hunters carried, literally the same architecture. The prefrontal cortex that allowed a hunter to imagine the future trajectory of prey you use, that same structure to plan your career, your relationships, your life. The same capacity for symbolic thinking that made a human press pigment against cave walls in the dark, you use it every time you read a book, watch a film, tell someone you love them, and mean something beyond the literal words. You are not a modern creature with ancient instincts awkwardly bolted on. You are the ancient creature. The modern world is the costume. And this is where it starts to get uncomfortable. Because if our greatest survival secret was the ability to narrate ourselves through reality, to build meaning out of chaos, then what happens when we lose that ability? What happens when the stories stop working? Look at the epidemic of existential emptiness that defines modern life. The anxiety, the disconnection, the strange, sourceless grief that millions of people feel without knowing why. The sand hunters who practiced persistence hunting didn't just track animals, they tracked themselves. The hunt was a ritual of becoming. A process of moving through exhaustion until something essential emerged on the other side. Modern humans have optimized away the hunt. We have food delivered in 30 minutes. We have entertainment on demand. We have every comfort our ancestors would have considered miraculous. And we are, statistically, among the loneliest, most anxious, most depressed generations in recorded history. Maybe the greatest survival secret of ancient humans wasn't something they did. Maybe it was something they endured. The long walk, the empty horizon, the hours of nothing but your own thoughts and the sound of your own breathing and the knowledge that the answer, the meal, the shelter, the meaning was still somewhere out there, and you were going to have to earn it with your body and your will and your refusal to stop. Maybe the secret was the search itself, not the destination. The search.